Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. This is a continuation of the C.U.C.U campaign, affectionately known as C.U.C.U campaign. Stands for Cripple the UK and Collapse the USSR. My opponent has done both. We are getting ready to go into October of 1942. The weather was rolled at the end of the last turn, which is what we usually do at the end of these sessions. We roll so we know what the weather's going to be for the next turn. And it was fair in the cold, fair in the mild, and poor in the warm zone. So there is that going for the Allies at the moment. And we'll just go ahead and get started. I don't think we had any declarations of war, but we'll find out. Yes, there we go. So we're just popping up the economies, I think, now. This was, we were pointing out, we realized that he is not in compliance with Western home defense, because his airplane's not on one of these borders or in one of these countries. I mean, he has one up, and he has one over here on in Brest, but he has two that he's sent down to Spain, and in so doing, he had to have one of this airplane that's near Hanover, which is a great place if the U.S. is in the war and Soviets are in the war, but it's not legal for home defense purposes, so he has to put it along this border or in France, Belgium, Holland, so on and so forth. So we were just talking about where's the best place, and he started to try and strategically move it, and I said, no, let's just do it in order here. He's like, it doesn't cost a strategic movement thing? I went, nope, it doesn't. So we got through declarations of war, we do the economies. Britain's all the way up to 22 now. I've been doing fairly well in the strategic warfare and getting the factories back for the British. I really don't expect to really hurt the Germans with just facing the West here for over a year. They're going to be at full factories before too long. The idea is to try and keep the British factory lost count down so that they actually have production points and be able to do something. And the Russians got up to 16 because they picked up a factory along the way here. So, and the Russian factory count is not doubled when they're under Moscow Treaty. That's why it's only 16. So the Germans are at 26 because he's 15 minus 3 is 12, plus 1 for an extra factory is 13. So that's why he's at 26. And I had realized I had a factory loss marker on the thing rather than my factory count, so we swapped that. Yeah, I think that's it. There's no strategic warfare against the Soviets. Strategic warfare against the West. He is plus 5 because he doesn't have an airplane in Norway, but he has Basra, Kuwait, Suez, and obviously airplanes on the Atlantic coast and seas on 7. So beach down. Here we go. And then I am I'm only plus 2 this turn. So he rolled a 5 plus 6, which is a 12. I rolled a 5. A 2 plus 2 is a 4. So unfortunately, he goes down. He gets a factory loss goes down. My factory loss goes up. So that was not helpful for the West. Now we go to strategic movement. At the beginning of the strategic movement phase, he has to fulfill home defense. So he does that. It does not cost you a strategic move. It's just done. It's placed, and he's activated, so he can't use it this turn. Takes a sortie. Then he gets to go do his strategic movement. So he brings another armored unit down here to Spain. And we go into the Western strategic movement. I didn't have one. And the Soviets, I think I'm getting like expensive production point things, like this armor. I'm just getting them off the city. I have like a year and a half to get all these guys flipped and placed in the right places. And so a lot of the stuff that happens on the Russian front is just like Mickey Mouse wandering units around and getting them into position and stuff. It's something you do have to pay attention to, and I tend to try and get everybody close to where I want them early on so I don't have to think about it anymore. And then I can concentrate on like building my airplanes and getting them to the places I want and stuff in 1943. later in the war. I try not to telegraph exactly where everything is going to end up, so I just try to get everything close to where I want them to be. Keeps the German guessing on what my actual line of attack will be when I come back in the war early in 44. Hopefully I can roll the dice and get back in the war in early 44. So, what are we doing? I think he's doing aircraft attacks down here. He does not like all the stuff I... earlier turn, I had invaded at Tangiers with the BEF and the Med Fleet and Convoy. And then I brought in Fighter Command here, and in here with the American fleet, I have the 1st RAF and then a real armored unit. The 8th Army is defending Gibraltar under the fort. So the idea here is I'm not isolated. It's much harder for him to take this, and the one attack he did make on it, he lost his airdrop marker. He rolled a 6 on it. So now he doesn't have the airdrop marker to take it out anymore. So he has to work on trying to get me out of supply, which will take him a few turns to accomplish, I believe. So I really don't know that I can hang on to it through 1943. Concentrated effort by the British, or by the Germans, with their aircraft and their heavy artillery and all that stuff. Sooner or later, it's probably going to fall. But at least I keep him busy here. So that's my goal here. Let's see, he's... minus 3. Minus 3. I'm not sure what attack we're making here. I did strategically move the task force to Plymouth so that if I can get a fleet there next turn, I can possibly do something. And we get decent weather or whatever. I don't know what that minus 3 is from. It should be minus 2 here unless he's attacking some. Oh, this airplane here. Duh. So it's this airplane is attacking one of these two. I can't remember which one he attacked first. I always get confused on which one he's attacking first, and we're not paying attention and doing our little flashy thing to let us know. So he rolled 2 minus 3, which means that he could not get more than... I couldn't get anything on him with my 4 sorties. So he says, just run it up. So he basically takes 2 sorties, I take 2 sorties. And I think he does the same thing with the guy at Cadiz. Yeah, so it's minus 2 to my minus ridiculous. And again, he didn't roll high enough to get 2 sorties on 1 sortie, so he takes 2 sorties to do that. Then he's going to attack with the armor. This span, the armor and the Spanish, I think we were setting it to see what he would be at. He's at 3 for the armor, 1 for the Spanish, and then minus 2 for the city and the weather, because it's 4 weather. So he's starting off at a net minus 2. He's going to be throwing in his airplane because I don't have anything I can play here. I don't. If you look at my thing, I don't have anything like ultras or anything like that. I don't have a lot that I can play here. So I'm... So he moves it, brings out a ground support. So then I think we did it again. He's 3 for the armor, 1 for the Spanish, 1 for the ground support, 1 for the airplane. Then minus... why did he get up to 7? 3. Oh, he threw in another Spaniard. So he's 3, 4... Count through this. 3, 4... This is 3, that's 4. This is 5, 6, and then the airplane is 7. Minus 2 because of the city and the weather, so he's a plus 5. So he rolls a 6 plus 5 and then half for the fort, so it becomes a 6, which was like, oh my god. He can't do it, he can't do any worse, right? That's the best die roll he can get. And then I managed to roll a 4 plus 2, which is a 6, so I managed to hang on to Gibraltar and not get flipped. If I had gotten flipped, he might have actually taken it this turn with this armored unit attacking me. Even though it would have been only like plus 4 or plus 2 halved, I'd be minus 1, so it'd be possible for him to take it. So pretty much held out. Ground support's coming right back. So that was a good thing for him. And now it's just shenanigan movement. Get the Italians up here to back up the beaches. I do have a surprise attack marker, if you noticed in my thing here, which means he's got to kind of think about me making, silly raids like, maybe dropping in raid at Calais or Le Havre and just trying to run around and mess with his brain. So he's got to kind of keep track of what I'm doing. Gets German infantry into Bale. Italian goes and sits in Bordeaux. He's just trying to make sure that I have to roll dice when I do invasions rather than being able to like land, move in, and get a second unit in. So everywhere where I could invade, he's trying to make sure that I can only get one hex when I invade. Even if I can take it, I can only go one hex, which is the right thing to do. And then we had a connection problem here, so the log file ends at this point. So I'm going to pause the video here, and we will be back in a minute with the second half of the game. Okay, I've reloaded the second vlog here. I'm not sure that if he had some moves that didn't get recorded. I'm trying to see if there's anything floating around. I don't think so. So let's just see where we go. Yeah, he moved the 17th into Stavanger. In a game that we're playing on Board Game Arena, he did not pay attention very much in Norway when he was trying to pound me in Russia, and I managed to pull off what I called an Operation Arctic Glory. I invaded into Norway and managed to capture it before he could do anything about it. So he doesn't want to let me do that again. I've put the fear of the British Navy into him. Then I think this is him basically just kind of doing some general positioning. Since the Russians are collapsed, he's just trying to get his Germans kind of where they belong, kind of the same thing the Russians are doing. General idea of where they're going to be, and then at the end of 43, in the fall of 43, that's when we'll start making micro adjustments, reacting to each other as to exactly where we're going to start that 44 restart when it happens. And I think he was trying to stop at 19. So here's Turk movement. He is trying to. I also, in that game on Board Game Arena, I had managed to figure out a way to conquer Finland because, again, he wasn't paying attention. So he's trying to switch. He wants me to be able to, if I'm going to break through in Finland, it's going to be way in the north, so he has plenty of time to react and stop me. I broke through in the center, and he couldn't quite stop me fast enough. So, and the Italian air comes flying over here, and now I believe we're just doing his supply. So, it's one too many low supply markers. Yeah, and then we're into Western Action subphase. I really don't have a lot that I could do here. I go ahead, because his airplane can't be activated, I just go ahead and run my bomber command over here, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to hit those two cities. This is a convention we use in the Vassal module. We take the bound markers and just drop them in a mountain hex here in central Germany, so that he can place his units on cities when he's building and knows everything that he's got available. It's just easier to just be able to pick up a stack on strategic warfare and say, okay, there's 3 here or whatever, and then put them in the sea and add the points to the die roll. So I fly the airplane that I had dropped off in Belfast down to Plymouth, again, just trying to. And then I send the convoy back to Eastern North America because, why not? It's not really doing me any good here. Then I think I am in supply. Yeah, I'm in my supply subphase. This is shenanigans that we have to do here. So I'm like supplying specific units, and he basically said, if you're gonna escort them, I'm not going to waste my surface action marker or my airplane, because in poor weather, at -4, he can't actually stop me. He's going to give me a sortie, but I'll take the sortie anyway for escorting. So he's like, well, if you're escorting, just go ahead. So I think that's what I did. Then we went into the Soviets, and this is just the Soviets kind of just marching a few units around. I save enough points to be able to do things in the production phase. Just kind of get guys forward. You'll notice I have like 7 guys over here that are flipped, sitting in the Central Russia box. Those are going to be used to upgrade guards units. So if I don't have them on the map, I know that I'm not leaving a hole in my line when I start upgrading using those. So that's why I kind of leave those guys off in the Central Russia box, so I don't think that I have units to plug gaps when I start replacing regular infantry units. I have to take a second one off. So if I have the line built without their replacements, just sitting over here in this box, then I can just pull them off and do it in place. Today. And that was it. So we're in the no supply phase. Nobody takes anything off. Axis do their replacements. Just the Italians. Then he goes and does the Germans. Did that airplane. His airplane in Brest. Airplanes in Spain. And I believe that left him with 5 points. Oh, he's got 7 points. He must have something to build. Oh yeah, he has an armored unit to build. So that left him with enough points to build his armor and still do diplomacy, which is what he's trying to do. If you notice in the diplomacy in the past, what I've done is I've managed to get, this has been here for a while in the Netherlands, but I pulled a success last turn, and I was like, I'm going to put a pro marker in Ireland, so that now I have one in Ireland, one in Amsterdam, and one in French North Africa. French North Africa there's only a 1 in 6 chance I would see the units. So rather than trying to activate it with that thing last turn, I don't really have a lot of extra sorties here on my fleets and stuff. If I activate French North Africa, I'm probably not going to see the units. I need to be able to put somebody in Casablanca like right now. So what I'm trying to do is I'm hoping to get, some of these, like the British convoy here and the American convoy up here. If I can get these guys down to like 0 sorties, then if I activate it, I can pick up like the 5th U.S. Task Force or even the 1st Canadian if I can get him flipped over and just drop him here in Casablanca so that they can defend this, so that he can't take Tangiers and then get an isolation on Gibraltar, because that's ultimately his goal, is to seal this side of the net. So that's our diplomacy game kind of nonsense that we're messing with. But anyway, in my replacements phase for the West, of course I just do the Americans because I can. They don't cost me anything. Then the British, I believe it's 7, 10, it's 13 here to do all the British stuff that's here. So that leaves me with, yeah, it left me with 9. So I went and I did Bomber Command. And then I flipped over the Canadian, and then I think I just went ahead and did the convoy that was up here. So I'm trying to get my convoys back because they're the most critical thing right now. For supply purposes and stuff, I need to be able to swap convoys in and out if he starts bombing them. What are we at? No, we are Soviets. So I flipped over. I flipped over a couple of armies down in the south or something like that. Not sure exactly what I did here. Anyway, we go through the upgrades. Soviets are the only ones with upgrades. They choose not to. Axis goes ahead and... Did they not build their armored unit? I thought he built his armored unit. Did he not build his armored unit? Yeah, there he is. Okay. Yeah, he built his armored unit in the Königsberg. The West. I don't think I had any points left there. Anything in the British? Yeah, I've got Force H to build for the British, but I just don't have the points yet. And the Soviets built 4 guys, so they throw another shock army here, infantries in the cities so that they can move up to the line. And we're in the diplomacy phase. So, Axis spends 5, and they pull a political success. And I was like, well, you have a choice. You can activate Sweden or get rid of the other 3, one of the other 3 things. And he's like, with only 1 political success for me to pull, because if you look at the cup after this, well, I'll do it after he does this thing. He says this is, we were just looking. That's right. We were looking in the cup and it's 50-50. So it's like, yeah, you're going to, 50-50 chance you pulling a political success. 50-50 chance me pulling a political success. Or depending on what's pulled, I might have 2/3 chance or a 1/3 chance. Depends on what the Germans do. So he's looking at it, and I said, if you don't want to do anything, you can be really nasty and put a political failure or no events in there and make it harder for me to pull. He's like, I think I'll pull. And he got a political success. So he didn't even think. He's like, nope, I'm activating Sweden. That's it. I'm getting these guys here to help me. He says, I'm going to stick a real unit in Stockholm so he doesn't have to think about Russian invasions and conquering it. Puts a guy, and he puts the other 3 Swedes on the Norwegian border. Of course, these guys are in violation of the border as they move them back. Get them on their side of the border. But basically, he's going to have the Swedes come over and take over a lot of the garrison duty in Norway, which is going to make it pretty much impossible for me to do my Operation Polar Glory. And those things go on the track. And then we go to the Western diplomacy phase. And now I've got a 1/3 chance of pulling something here. And I pulled a political success. I went, huh. Both of them came out, so now there's 2 no events in there. And I'm like, what do I do? I could, activate Amsterdam, force him to conquer it next turn. You got to understand, he's at, where is it? He's at 9 conquered countries, so any country he goes after is going to take him over when the Russians come in to +4 for the Russians. But the Russians aren't going to be here for a year, so just giving him that real estate for no good reason just didn't seem like a good idea. And as I already discussed, I really don't have the sorties to hang on to French North Africa because I can't really get a unit there and keep the sorties going. So I decided that what I probably should do is activate Ireland. And the real reason why I'm activating Ireland gives me something for the U.S. to give points to. But Cork, this hex right here, this is on C Zone 7, just like Plymouth, which means from Cork and Plymouth, I can now launch 2 attacks into C Zone 8. Or if I have to, 2 C Zone invasion into 16, assuming that he kicks me out of Gibraltar or whatever, I can actually drop 2 units down here and possibly take it all back. So I thought that was this particular port makes it, and I can still get the C Zone 10 from there like I can from Plymouth. So having a unit and a fleet there and units and fleets on these Southampton, Plymouth, London, Cork, I have a lot of flexibility on where I can invade and do things to him. So he has to guard more of the European coast. If I only have 1 in C Zone 7, I can't really mount a full-blown 2x invasion kind of thing. So that's why I went and took Ireland. And then for the Soviets, as I say, points for the Soviets, I said, let's put the political success and a no event back in. So now it's a 1 in 4 chance of pulling it. If the Germans don't, it'll be a 1 in 3 for the West again. And maybe they can then go activate French North Africa or Amsterdam, or even put a pro marker in Portugal. That kind of thing. So that was all the shenanigans for diplomacy. Victory check doesn't matter. End of turn, we just get our stuff, put on the tracks. I got a Urals factory, which for the Russians, I believe that takes them up to their 9th. That's their 9th Urals factory, so I don't get any more. And the British got a Lend-Lease, so they're going to go up a factory count as well. And the Germans got a factory too, so they went up a factory count. And then I got some Russian units to build. Got another upgrade. I got another shock army to build. I finally got a heavy artillery. None of this I can use with the Russians. And the Germans got their both of their ground supports back. So now their Spanish allies and whatnot can actually deuce it up to me. So that's unfortunate for the West. And we go into November, and we should be doing... Let's get these things off the board and bring up the weather track. Now, it matters in November what we had in October. So when he rolls the dice here, 3, 2, 3. So it's fair in the cold. You go to the fair line on the November line here, and you see that a 3 in the fair line right here is poor. And in the mild zone, it's a 2, and it was fair before, so that's also poor. And then he rolled a 3, and it was poor before. So you go and look at the 3, and it is poor in the warm zone. So, poor everywhere. And that was that. That's the weather phase. We go to the declaration of war phase. And I believe, if I remember right, he thought... Yeah, he decided... He says, I'm not going to take Gibraltar unless I can get it isolated because I don't have the paratrooper or whatever. So I need the extra +2. The only way I'm going to do that is I got to go through French North Africa to get to Tangier and kick you out of there and then take Gibraltar that way. So he decided French North Africa must be declared war on. So first thing I did is I put down, control markers in all their hexes. And then I rolled, and I rolled a 2. I came very, very close. If I'd rolled a 1, he would have actually had to face their army units because they're the last one. It's -2 for the other 2 Vichy countries being conquered, and I have to roll between a 1 and a 3. -2 means I need to roll a 1. Or +2, I mean. So it needs to mean I need to roll a 1 in order for them to come in. I did not. I rolled a 2. So they go away, and he's just going to be able to walk through here in his turn. I don't have any declarations of war. Soviets can't. We go to economies. The Germans are... I gave Ireland a production from Americans, I think. So the Germans are up to 30. 30, how's that? Well, 15 -2. His factory loss is 13, but he has 2 extra factories, which puts him back up to 15. So he's at 30 production point. And we move his miners up there. And then I gave one to the Irish with the Americans. I was trying to get the British are up to 22. The Russians are at 17 now. They have 6 and 9 is 15 and 2 Lend-Lease. So they're at 17. They'll be at 19 at the end of 43, which is where they usually are if they fall at 42. Then we go into strategic warfare. He'd already moved my bomb markers out of Germany. So I'm at 4 and he's at +5. And I go ahead and play an ultra marker here, I believe. Where my ultra marker went? Thought I played an ultra marker. Maybe I didn't have one. Did I not have one? I must not have had one. Okay. Yeah, I think I was looking at the turn track. Try and see when my next Ultra was coming in. It doesn't come in until the following couple turns. I have Ultras coming. So I didn't have an Ultra this turn. He rolled a 9, and I managed to roll only a 6, so I still lost a factory. So I go up to 4 lost factories, and he's down to maximum. So he'll be up to 32 production points next turn. And I will be down to 3, 7. I'll be down to 20 with the Commonwealth. Okay. So things are not going well in the strategic warfare phases here. He had submarines. That's what we were discussing. He's like, no, I'm going to save them for when you have Ultras to try and keep my factories down. Factory loss count down. Strategic movement. He brought the 4th Panzer over here to Turkey. I guess he thinks he's going to need to get it in the Middle East. I decided that what was the weather down here? It was poor. So I strategically moved this to here, which was probably just a mistake. I shouldn't have bothered to do this, but it did. Ultimately, you'll see that it's not a good move on my part. So we're in his operations phase, and he just moves the German up, takes that city, starts moving the Italian up because he was at low supply. The Swedes take off and go running across to start garrisoning Norwegian ports. And out comes his convoy. And I really don't have a decent interception here because my fleets are all in the wrong place. So he goes... Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. C-Zone 10 and then C-Zone 7. And I could hit it with the airplane here, but I don't see the point of wasting the sorties. I kind of missed the idea that he had a surprise attack marker, so if he wanted to, he could like come down here and invade into Tangier. And these fleets would have to be the things that stop him. And that was his airplane that was here in northern Spain. He goes, get you out of here. And then he brings the airplane that's in Brest down here so he has full, closer to full sorties to bang on my airplanes and stuff. He's trying to, basically he's going to out Air Force me, and sooner or later he's going to knock me out of supply. So he's at +1. He's using that airplane he just brought down to my -4. Oh, yeah, -5. Sorry. So he rolled a 1, so he only got 1 sortie on that airplane. And he says, okay, so we're going to attack the other airplane. Why is he -2? +2, -2. Oh, yeah. He's +2, -2 because of the poor weather. And he rolled another 1, so that guy took a sortie, and then he just said, run them both up. Gets this Spaniard out of the way, moves this armor down into Cadiz. I'm going to use that to invade with. If I'd have been him, I think I would have tried to run the risk this turn and just had the Spaniard go and land at either Casablanca or Tangier. But he didn't. And he came after me with like both armored units and a Spanish unit. So I have 3 armored units trying to take Gibraltar. I mean, I'm in a world of hurt here. Did we go to combat commitment here? Oh, I think we're just trying to figure out what he starts out with. 3. Then he gets 5 for the tank and 6 for the Spaniard. 7 for an airplane. And -1 for the city, -1 for the thing. And he went ahead and threw in a ground support, so I got an extra +1 there. So he should have been 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, -2. Should have been +6. Why is he only +5? Should have been +6 for that. I think we did that wrong. So he rolled a 7, halved to a 4. If it had been an 8, it still would have been halved to a 4. So either way, it would have been a 4. So it doesn't really matter in the outcome. But pay attention to your pluses. And then I rolled a 5 + 2 is a 7. So he wasn't stopping me. And then this ground support's coming back in 5 turns. Now I'm not sure. Okay, some more shenanigans. The Italians go to back up the Brest thing. The Finn moves to the river forest line there that's very hard for me to break through. Yugoslav goes and sits in a really nice defensive hex. Moves a German up to the front. Again, he's going to be trying to save a bunch of production points to do his airplanes and everything, and flip over this armor. I'm not sure what's moving there. Moves the German up. I think now we're doing supply already. So he makes those guys go low supply and supplies these guys up here, these 3 and the 1 German. And for some reason he had the Turks in low supply, and I'm like, the Turks are in supply because they can trace back to Turkey. Why would you have them at low supply? So he's supplied. That Turk up. This Turk comes down to the Middle East. I don't understand why, but he does. And he decided to switch that. Got rid of that extra low supply. These guys stay at low supply. And he wanted this guy to go to no supply because he's going to put a Finn there, and then he's going to build him back in Germany and not have to transport him. So then it's my sub-phase. I said, okay, here comes the fleet and the convoy. I'm here. And he has the ability to intercept me with his surface action number. And so I said, you want to intercept me? He goes, no, that's okay. And then the fleet, the convoy is escorting the fleet, and it's being escorted by the airplane as well, as I pick up the infantry unit to bring it into C-Zone 7. And he's like, no, that's okay. I'm not going to deal with that. And then I went into C-Zone 16, where he could intercept me now with his airplane would be at -3. I would be at -3. His fleet, his surface action could be at -1 to my -3. So he could try to intercept here and, drive me up with a lot of sorties and stuff. And I think he said, no, I'm just going to hang on to it and go, probably coming after me when I do supply because, I'm at high sorties there. But the reason why I said that this strategic move was probably a waste for me is because he could only get roughly this far. I was thinking I could defend like this. And then when he gets his convoy down here and this armored unit and all this, it's like, well, I have to defend against a possible invasion. So basically, I'm going to have to strategically move this guy back to Tangier. He'll move forward some, and then I'll move, after his turn is over, I'll move out of Casablanca and then try to get somebody else, a garrison unit or something, to hold Casablanca. But, I mean, it was just dumb on my part. Very dumb. And then that's my Western actions. Now we're doing supply. I can't remember if he intercepted anything here. Oh, no. First I ran a bomber. I said, well, let's go take a pot shot. It's poor weather. Maybe you'll miss. He's a 0. I'm a minus. Ridiculous. -7. And he rolled a 6, so he nailed me, and it's like, okay, none of that bomber stuff. Went ahead and moved the Canadian into the Plymouth because, I'm thinking I might need to be doing shuttle work here with a convoy or something. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do this. And then I think I'm down to supply at this point. So I supplied him with the Americans. He said, nope, you can have a million supply. And then I did the supply, from there with these guys. And he's like, nope, go ahead. And so, I just kind of highlighting along who I was doing, and he's like, nope, I'm not going to stop you. So we go to operations phase for the Soviets, and we're in actions. I think I just move a few units up to the line. I think that's it. Yeah, we go into the no supply phase. Now we're doing the axis replacements. He's resetting his aircraft. Now I think he's doing the Italians here too. I'm really confused. Yeah, here's the Italians. Okay. Dun dun dun. Alright, then we get into Western. I do my 13 for the British and my Americans. And I bring down the British bomber and the first convoy. And I flipped over some units for the Russians. Go through the upgrades, mobilization for the Axis. I don't think he had anything. The West, I didn't have any money. Soviets had a shock army to build. They threw it to Rostov. And we're back to the diplomacy phase. So now, there's 3 no events and 1 political success in there. And he pulled the political success. And I reloaded it. What did he do? I think he took... Is that what he did? Yeah, he took the pro marker out of Amsterdam so that I couldn't... The only way I ever get that back in Amsterdam is he has to have a political failure because I'm not within 1 sea zone of an active friendly country for the West. So Amsterdam will stay neutral until either he decides to declare war on it or if I ever get on the continent, I declare war on it. So that's not good for me. That means that we only have... did I do the Who's allies? Yeah, the only people we have left are the Netherlands and Portugal are the only 2 miners that haven't either joined a side or been conquered. So, that was the diplomacy phase. I basically reloaded the cup to let me try and go after Portugal or something like that. And then we're at end of turn. He gets submarines. Now he has 2 of them. I get an Ultra and Russian partisans, which doesn't matter. The Russians get a Lend-Lease, so that'll put them up to 15, 16, 17, 18. Should get a... Yeah, he'll have 15 and 3. He'll have 18 now through middle of 43, and then he gets up to 19. As he gets to December, he'll actually get a 20th factory at that point, but hopefully he'll roll the die and come right back in with the Russians, if I can do it. So yeah, that's it there, and then I think we just go ahead and roll the weather. Into December, he rolls the weather, a 4, 1, and a 2. So in December, a 4 is severe, and then a 1 and a 2 are both poor. So it'll be severe, poor, poor. So there we go. That is... Oh. That is October and November of 1942. Turns for unconditional surrender in the C.U.C.U campaign. If you like my videos, please hit the like button on the YouTube channel. It helps the algorithms in YouTube keep these things up for other people to see. If you really like what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification button. And as I post up other videos, you'll be able to know that they're coming and come and see what I'm doing. As always, I'm Dren608. If you like what I'm doing, I already said that. I'm Dren608. Until we meet again, stay safe and bye-bye.